Assalamualaikum, Alhamdulillah, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So let's continue with our tutorial. Last time we already discussed the control flow. Now let's proceed to what we call loops, right? So loops is used mainly for doing repetitive tasks, right? So for example, if I want to say print, like print ln, say 1, so it will actually print 1, right? And then I say I want to print 2 as well, so I have 1 2. I want to print 3 as well, I have 1 3 4 5. So assuming this is just a very simple illustration, of course, but assuming we have like a repetitive task which it only takes say different input every repetitive task, but it's actually executing the same say function, in this case print ln, and so we have 1 to 5, and so as you can see it's quite long, right? Just imagine if I have to do this say up until 10, for example. So we have 6 7 8 9 10. So as you can see it's quite very long, right? So loops will help you at least simplify this, right? With this syntax. So as you can see here, if I run this, this will actually print the values 1 to 5 immediately. As you can see here, 1 to 5. So how did we do that? So first we have here, so let's try to understand it one by one. So the syntax is something like this one. For I in 1 to 5, that's actually the range 1 to 5, we print the values of I, right? So first, the way it works is that first it will assign I to the first value in this range, which is 1. So I becomes 1, right? And then after that, it will then proceed and print this one, right? And so let me just put the time for us. And so after that, it will then execute this part, right? Print I, and so I have here print I. So first, the way it works is that I will be assigned a value of 1 first, right? 1, so I equals 1, and then after that, it will execute whatever is between the body here. So you can actually have many other codes here, but we just so happen we only have print ln here, and so it will try to execute the body here, on the body of the codes here. This is print lni, and so it will run this one, and then after that, after executing this, it will then go to this part and it will see end, but it will then go back because I is not yet equal to 5, so it will continue up until the very last value in the range. So since it is done with I equals to 1, it will then proceed to I equals to 2. So the next iteration of this one would be something like this one. I will become 2 now, and then it will then proceed to printing this, and so if it will run it, it will then print 2. So now we have 1 and 2 in the output, and then after that it will proceed again to I equals 3 in the range here because we have a 1 to 5, and then after that it will do the same. So if I do that as well here, 3, and then it will then print 3. So you can see it will just goes over and over up until 5 because we've specified it. So as you can see here, instead of like doing this type of scenarios 1 to 10, for example, I can just actually replace 5 here and put 10, and it will automatically print to me 1 to 10, as you can see. So that's the for loops, and this is very useful for iterative tasks. So let me just delete this piece the moment, and then let's see another example. Another type of loop is this one, iterating over an array. So we will actually tackle array in the succeeding tutorial, but for now let me just also show you that this is another type of loop wherein we can actually iterate through the values of an array here. So an array is just a collection. So you can put items within a bracket and separate it with a comma that will form an array, right? And so we have here an array which is a collection of the of which is a collection of numbers, and it has the following values in it: 10, 20, and 30. So if I want to iterate across the values of this one, I can just say for item. So in my array, which is this one, my array, print the values. If I run that, we'll have 10, 20, 30. So how did it work, right? Well, the way it works is that just as the same example that we did earlier for I, this time around, the way it works that for item, so item will now take values in my array, which is this one, right? So the way it works is that the first value of item is 10 because it will take a value in my array. So items equals 10. Then after that, it will then print this one. It will run that, and so it will print 10. So that's why you have 10 here, right? And then after that, after executing that, it will go back here, and then item will then get the second element in this array. So um, that would be 20, right? So which is this one, right? And then after it will print again, which is this one. If I run it, that would be 20, and so that's why you have 20 here, right? And then lastly, after that, item will then have a value of 30 here, and so if I change this, so that's why we have 30. And then after that, we will continue here, and then it will check again here, and it will find out that, okay, 30 is the last number within an array, and then it will stop, right? So that's how it works, at least step by step. But as you can see here, if you run this, it will actually just show you immediately the values of the array. So, but of course, you can do something like, for example, one more. So for example, my countries, or say countries, right? I can say Saudi Arabia, Qatar, say Qatar, and say Malaysia, and say Philippines, and then I can say for country in countries, right? I can say that, and then I say print all n, country, and then n. And so if I run that, it will print everything here, right? So that's how it works. And then I can also do something like this: capital, right? So here the capital of Saudi is Riyadh, and the capital of Qatar, I'll be honest with you, I don't know the capital of Qatar. Doha, I think. Yeah, Doha. And then Malaysia is KL, Kuala Lumpur. Philippines is Manila. So I have here print country, and then I can also add the capital. And the way it works is that I can actually do something like this. So this is quite advanced already. So I would say, for example, I would say uh, k equals 1, and so here I would say k first, k plus equals 1. So if I run that, it will actually show me that, okay, Saudi Arabia, the capital is Riyadh, Qatar is Doha, Malaysia is KL, Philippines is Manila. So I was able to actually combine the two. But the way it works is that, as you can see here, I have a k here, a variable k that I assigned. K is equal to 1, fine, okay. And then after that, the way the loops works that it first, the country here will take the value of Saudi Arabia here, because that's the first element of the countries. And so the first part here, which is the country, will print out this Saudi Arabia. And then after that, it will also put this dash, which is this one. Then after that, the capital here, which is this one. So this is an array, this is a vector. And as you can see, I have here a bracket, which is k. So the way it works is that capital here, if I actually put 1 here, it will actually show Riyadh. So I can access the first element of capital by using a open and close bracket and then 1. And if I say 2, it will actually go to Doha. 3, that will be Malaysia, and so on. So that's how you index an array, right? In fact, this is actually a vector to be very specific, but let's just have it as an array for now, which is also true. But yeah, as you can see here, I can index it with 1, 2, 3. As you can see here, the way it works is that first, country will take a value of Saudi Arabia here, right? Saudi Arabia. So there you go. And then after that, so we have the Saudi Arabia. So that's after that it will print this, and so that's why it will print the country here, right? And then with dash, and then capital here will then print the value of that by replacing k here. K is equal to 1, so we have here k. So we have here k initially is 1, and then we therefore if I say capital and then k will be 1, so that would be, if I have here capital 1, that would be Riyadh. And so this will be replaced with Riyadh. So in fact, if because k equals 1 here, if I run this, it will actually be Riyadh. So that's the first iteration of the loop. And so what about the second iteration? I mean, after executing this, right, which is this one, Saudi Arabia Riyadh, it will then run this. And this one is actually, this syntax is actually equivalent to k. K is equal to k plus 1. So k is equal to k plus 1. It will then run this one. So therefore here, initially we have k equals 1. And then after that, I said the first entry of the country will take the values of the first element of the countries, which is Saudi Arabia, okay. And then after that, it will print this. And so it will print the country, which is Saudi Arabia, and then dash. And then after that, capital. And then with an index k, that's something like this one. As I mentioned earlier, that you can index an array with just an open and close bracket with a number here. So since k is equal to 1, so it will be 1, so that's why it's Riyadh. Okay, and then after that we update the value of k. So in this case, k plus 1 becomes 2, and then that value 2 will be assigned to k again. So what will happen is that k will become 2. As you can see here, we have 2. So if I type here k, it's now 2. So because of that, because k is equal to, it will then go back here. After that one, it will then go back here, and we'll take country this time around. We'll take another value, which is the second one, which is Qatar. So that will be Qatar. And then after that, it will then print it will then print yeah, the output Qatar here, country, and capital this time around, since k became 2 here, so capital and then index with 2, that would be Doha, right? Doha. And so that's why it now returns Qatar dash Doha. Then after that, it will proceed. After running this, it will then proceed to this one again. And so that will be k, which is 2 plus 1 becomes 3, and then assign it again to k. So k now becomes 3. And then you do the process again. And so that's why Malaysia has a capital KL, because k is constantly updated. So right now this one is just equivalent to writing, for a simplified version, we can actually just write it something like this. Okay, so there you go. That's how for loops work. You can search on the web further to understand about for loops in Julia. So you can, for example, for loops in Julia, you can search Google. For my case, I'm using I'm using DuckDuckGo. I'm not using Google. So here, for example, so this is the documentation from Julia for, yeah, for example, conditional evaluation, and also loops. You should be able to see where is the loop here. So there are so many examples here. So as you can see here, we have here the for loop, for okay, here it is. So while loops, and which is the next topic that we are going to discuss, and then this is the example of for loop. There you go. Alhamdulillah. I hope you learned something. Assalamu alaikum.